So, back up. I'll call a meeting together for the Sports Authority Board meeting. Today we're here in the Sunny West Conference Room, and we hope to be meeting here from time to time. Toby has been working on that arrangement so we can all kind of interact and see one another better, and I think will be very good. I'd like to remind for those who are in the audience that there is an appeals process for decisions of the board. It can be found at the top of today's agenda, or you can go to our website. Our first person to be on our agenda this morning, we're going to do it a little different. Before we have the minutes and so forth, is going to be a visitor, Jane Ewan, to come forward. The athletes in our community oftentimes do more than play on a field or arena. Oftentimes they give back to the community, and I would like to ask Jane to tell us about some of the work she does with the Route 52 Foundation. Jane serves as Executive Director of the Foundation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit started by Tennessee Titans player Moise Foco. She has been working with professional athletes now for 14 years in the capacities of public relations, charitable partnerships, and nonprofit management. Jane? Push your black button there. All right.
Thank you so much for the great introduction, and thank you all for inviting me to be here today. So as JD mentioned, I work with Moses Foku, and I run his Route 53 Foundation. We provide hands-on learning workshops throughout Middle Tennessee and underserved middle schools. And we provide two types of workshops. One of them is the Healthy Living Workshop, in which we invite chefs, trainers, nutritionists to come in and teach the kids healthy living skills. And usually we have about 30 to 80 students at each classroom, and we break the kids up into groups, and so they get a chance to work with some of these professionals in the field. And we also have a music and movement workshop in which we invite dancers, singers, musicians to come teach skills as well. And we have a new program launching this September, and it's called the Route 53 Future Rulers Program. And it's basically a 3-month challenge in which students get to participate in positive living challenges every single week. And we reward them with things like a backpack filled with school supplies, a lunchbox filled with food, things that they need to thrive. So thank you again for allowing me to present what we do for the community.
Thank you, Jane, for sharing with us. We're glad to have had you here with us this morning. In your board package, you see the board minutes from the June 18th meeting. Are there any questions? Is there a motion for approval? Motion's made to approve. Is second? Second. All in favor of approval of the minutes of the June 18 meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. We'll go right to our executive director's report. Toby, will you provide your report to the board at this time?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To my right, we have Jason Bobo. Margaret was called away, and so we are without our usual counsel. Jason's been to the law department for some time, and we know each other, and he offered to be a pinch hitter. He was briefed all day extensively by Margaret yesterday, so let's pepper him with lots of questions and give him a good test run. But Jason's here with us today, and thank you to Jane for presenting. I enjoyed meeting with her a couple months ago and learning a little bit more about the Route 53 Foundation and the work that they do in our community. And in front of each of you is a little more detail about the Route 53 Foundation, and some websites and things of that nature. I know they have some events that they do in the community that are coming up, and some of you may be interested in that. Quickly this morning in the meeting, well, let me mention this for all the speakers as we move forward in the agenda. If you'll just come up and sit at the front table rather than the lectern here, and just all you got to do is push the black button that says speak, and the red light will come on, and you can come or go. We'll all get used to this. Hopefully, as we proceed, maybe we'll do some of our meetings here versus the facilities, particularly when we have presentations, because one of the advantages of being here is that we're able to see the presentations on the monitors in front of you, and they can carry it live in a little easier fashion for the viewing public. So it'd be a little easier when we have presentations and things of that nature. But we still need to go to the facilities and oversee what they're doing and the improvements that they make and things of that nature. So we'll be going to the facilities as well. So this is just one more venue for us, and appreciate Metro 3 and the many people who helped kind of bring this together. I know it's a little confusing to find, but actually the parking is the most convenient of anywhere. It's right there in front of the building. So hopefully this will work for us in future meetings as well. Very quickly, so our meeting agenda today as we move forward, we have the LP Field report and the CMA. The LP Field report was delivered to you today by the Titans. The CMA parking numbers were included in your packet. There is no Bridgestone Arena written report today because we're in the process now of the audit, and so we always, at the end of the fiscal year for the arena, always use that audit as kind of the final report for the year. So Jeff will give us a little high-level overview and speak about the exciting things at the Ford Ice Center, and I'll comment on a few of those things in a moment myself. We have the SIF extension, the Capital Improvement Fund for the arena. I'm going to comment on a few things regarding some modifications to that program. There's an extensive amount of information in your packets on that. Special event contract, Life in Color. So this is an event contract related to LP Field that we'll discuss. And then finally, just a formality, the presentation of the CT forms that's related to the bond refinancing at LP Field. So those are the items that we'll cover today. We've been very busy. There are so many exciting things going on in the city, and we get to be a part of so many of those things. Obviously, LP Field just last night hosted One Direction. Look forward to hearing Walter appears to be awake, so that's a good thing. So we'll talk about that. Obviously, the TSU and Titans football season's coming up. Some exciting things there. Brasher has been working extensively with the folks at Nashville, the ABC show Nashville. They use our parking lots for staging and for parking of extras and things of that nature. And that just is just one of the other many things in those parking lots that happens this time of year. We just get such an inundation of 5K races and private community groups that want to use our parking lots. Over at the arena, great things obviously happen, continuation of concerts and things of that nature. Many of you participated in the tours of Ford Ice Center, and I appreciate many of you coming out. And if you were like me, you're really impressed with what we've got there. And I look forward to hearing what Jeff has to say about all the many things that are going to be happening with the grand opening. This is the first facility that we will have opened since 1999. So hopefully several of you can come out to the grand opening festivities and participate in that, because I think that's really neat when we get to add a venue. And as you know, we're looking forward to another venue next year. So we're really kind of doubling up in the next 12 months on what we manage and oversee. Also related to the arena and the Predators, want to congratulate. We've put in front of you as well the press release on David Kells. David's been a long-time employee there. We just want to, as a board, what David does every day and what he brings to that building every day is a vital, important piece of the success of what they do for the arena, but ultimately what it means to the city. And David's a good friend, and he has been awarded a finalist slot for the IEBA Venue Executive of the Year. And so that information's in front of you, and you can read more about that. So congratulations to David. He's not with us today, but we certainly congratulate him from afar and hope that Jerry and Jeff take that back to David. The baseball presentation we will do at our next meeting. We'll do a little more extensive update with the folks from the project management team, Ron Gobble and Michelle Barbero. But just very quickly, tonight begins the last homestand at Greer Stadium. So if you're interested, you've got 7 days. The last game, what they're labeling as the last cheer at Greer, will be on August 27th. And that will conclude 37 years of operation at that facility. And obviously, as the summer rolls through, and the fall rolls through, and the winter, and we get into next spring, we'll be opening the new First Tennessee ballpark. And so what's going on down there is the final construction documents were delivered to us Monday. The deep piers, all the caissons that we've talked about, the really deep settings have been completed. They were completed in early July, and the foundation work is well underway with all the grade beams and slab on grade concrete pours happening right now. And so that's all the concrete that will be in both the basement level and the concourse level of the facility. So that'll actually be completed within the next 3 weeks. So you're really starting to see that base, but But the really exciting thing is the structural steel started yesterday. So as the community drives around that site, they've seen a lot of activity. They're finally going to start seeing things come up out of the dirt. And that's really exciting. So there'll be a lot of work, particularly on the Jackson Street side of the site. And so you'll start really kind of seeing the main building really starting to come up. We're continuing to work with the Native American groups and work on the historic pieces that we're going to do along the Greenway. We've got some exciting things I think that we're working on there to honor Nashville's past, Nashville's true history from the 1300s forward, as well as baseball. And then we've also gotten some final drawings on some of the neat Greenway features, like a rain garden, the pervious pavers. So we'll have the concrete pavers will be the type that the water actually flows through versus pooling on and running off. It's a nice stormwater green feature. We'll have a green roof on the outfield concession stand, and there will be a cistern that collects all this runoff water so that we can use that in irrigation. So these are some of the many green features that we're starting to see develop as we build the facility. I think this is just some really exciting stuff. So we'll do a lot more baseball stuff, and we'll do some tours of baseball coming up soon, because you can finally really begin to see what is this thing. It's really becoming more than just a series of drawings now. If anyone's interested in the activities over at Greer Stadium, their website has tons of stuff, multiple fireworks shows and things like that. And I hope that I get to see. I'm gonna go to a couple games in the next week, and I hope you guys do as well. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Toby. Anybody else have any questions from Toby?
I got a question.
Yes, Rip.
Toby, have they made any decision on what they're going to do with Greer Stadium?
No, that decision really will not be made until sometime next year. I would expect probably after the first quarter next year. And that'll be something that the Metro Parks Board takes on. They own that facility. The lease is with them now. And I'm sure they'll go through a master planning process and best determine what happens to the stadium, but no decisions yet.
Well, and I asked this question, I think, at the last meeting about the new ballpark. Is there going to be some identification of old Sufferdale at the new ballpark?
Yes. So the history will be visible in several spots in the office building. They'll have an homage to the history and lots of pictures and things of that nature. The Greenway will have some Sufferdale reference, and then we're working on a very special piece of art that will be on both the front and back of the batter's eye, that will be visible, and then it will be very Sufferdale centric.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Toby, and we'll be coming back to you as we go through our agenda on some of the other reports. The next item on our agenda is Walter Overton, who will provide the report on LP Field and the final parking numbers for the CMA Music Festival. Walter, you look a little tired after the concert last night. Push your button. Black button.
Got it. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and fellow board members. It's been several months since I have been here, so I may need to introduce myself again. I'm Walter Overton. I'm the manager of LP Field in Tennessee Titans. It's been some exciting times that has occurred over at LP Field since we last met. Of course, just to go back, since I had not been here since, I think last May was the last time I was here, is that correct? We've had a few little instances, some things that made the news, and I do want to thank and congratulate Toby on the fine job that he did on our displacement of soil. So it's not a sinkage, it's displacement of soil. So Toby did a great job of
Right.
currying all of the events and the news reports that we had a sinkhole. So just wanted to thank Toby for doing that. Just to rehash some of the events that has occurred at LP Field, we had our Packer game, our first preseason game. which was a torrential downpour. I'm not sure if I can recall, since I've been there or since I was at the board, that we have ever had a rain like that during a game. Fortunately, the field held up very, very well. We were very excited that there was no incidents in terms of slippage with the field. So we're very proud of our groundskeeper, Terry Porch. Did an excellent job, and we also won the game. So that was great. As everybody know, we had One Direction last night, which I'm still hoping to find some hours to sleep. Of course, our CFO was up longer than I was, so Janine. So we both will probably find some time later today to try to catch up on some of our sleep. We had 51,000 plus. A very exciting event. When we first started talking about One Direction, I had never heard of them. When it was mentioned to me, I thought it was One Dimension. I wasn't sure who One Direction was. So I had to do some homework, and luckily I caught an HBO special that provided me with information about One Direction. But believe me, now I know who One Direction is. So very exciting event. Had all types of kids and families. They were from 3 years old to, I guess, to grandmothers and grandpas that were bringing their kids there. And I think we had a very exciting time. The weather was exciting. The weather was rather warm and a little humid, but there was no rain. So I think that was important that everybody was able to come and enjoy the event. Unbelievable the way that the parents dropped off the kids. I would think that there's probably 2/3 of the people that were there that dropped off the kids. And so we had a plan in place to make sure that the parents were able to come and pick up the kids. There were lines on the Woodland Street Bridge, cars that were parked there for hours at a time. That was on the north side. That was a pickup on the north side. The south side was where you had the KVB bridge. There were lines of cars waiting to pick up their kids there. Luckily, and I don't know this, but I do, from my information, there was not any kids that were left. So that was great. All right, our next game is the Vikings game. That's our last preseason game. That's 9 days away, and when I left the stadium, we were steadfastly trying to clean all of the trash on the floor and remove the flooring that was protecting the field. So for our next game, we're having to resod a little less than a third of the field on the north end zone up to about the 15 or 20 yard line, which it would be some very quality thick soil that I think will hold up for our next game. So we're looking forward to having the field prepared for that game. And after that game, then we start moving into TSU's John Merritt Classic. And that'll be an exciting time, Coach. I'm not sure that I've heard of Edwin Waters, but I'm sure I'll get to know him quite well. After that, we'll have Vanderbilt's. We'll have Vanderbilt's game on September 6th, which will be a ESPN game, which they will have game day at LP Field from 9:30 to 11:30. They will be that will take place in Lot T, and they will have a beautiful shot of the city, which will portray the city in a great light. Then after that, we open up with our Cowboy game, and so that will be a very interesting game. I really think that we have much improved. There are some things that we need to work on first year coach, but I think you will be very proud of our team this year. Moving right along with the LP Field casualty on tab 2, we have a deficit of about just over $36,000 that we are working on with Metro Insurance, trying to get reimbursed. I hope that check will be coming shortly. Tab 3 is our ticket user fee fund, which is just over $2 million. Tab 4 is our capital fund balance, which is slightly more than $179,000. Tab 5 is our CMA parking recap, which is slightly down from 2013, and it was a total of $1.3 million. Am I correct in saying that, Janine? No?
We are slightly down.
All right.
From last year, and that is mainly due, we sold less 4-day parking passes this year for the CMA event, and then, as was approved by the board, we absorbed part of the CMA expenses, which was a total of about $12,000, where we didn't have that in the 13 settlement. So we were down just slightly. Our nightly parks were up, but our 4-day passes were down, so we had a slight decrease there.
Thank you. I think the $1.3 million that I was speaking of was the unfiled reimbursement request. And tab 7 is where we like to show what expense items and those items that are those pending projects that we are working on at the stadium to make sure that the stadium is maintained in a first-class condition. Are there any questions?
Anybody have any questions from Walter? Or Janine, we can ask her to come up to speaker if you have any questions about the parking.
Mr. Chairman, I would like to recognize Marcus Curry. He's a former great student athlete at Metro. I'm sure most of you know his past. He's was an outstanding football player and a terrific track person. I don't know if he's as famous as Coach Temple, but this guy could really, really run. Outstanding athlete. Glad to have you here.
Thank you,
If
Walter.
not any more questions, thank you.
Thank you, and I want to thank Janine Kaufman for putting together the CMA report that was in your board materials that highlighted the parking and et cetera. So thank you, Janine. Okay, we'll move right to the Bridgestone Arena report and Ford Ice Center. I know several board members, including myself, had the opportunity to tour the Ford Ice Center, and it is amazing. It exceeded my expectations, and I think any other board member got to go, you would have felt the same way. Sean's out of town, and he's taking his son for his enrollment and college, and so Jeff's here, Jeff Cogan, to provide the report for the center, arena and for the Ice Center. Jeff, we're always glad to see you.
Thank you, JD. Thanks for having me this morning. As JD said, I'm pinch hitting for Sean, who's taking his son to college. I know there are big shoes to fill there, but not necessarily socks. You know, I just in preparing for this morning, I kind of have 3 buckets. I wanted to tell you about the Preds, the upcoming season. I want to tell you about Bridgestone Arena, and then Ford Ice. So in that order, new coach Peter Laviolette's in town. He's getting organized, creating schedules, creating travel plans, creating practice schedules. Shay and some of the boys are in town. They're skating on their own. We've added 3 new centers. Our first line and our second line will pretty much be all new from last year. We think we've added a lot of skill. We think we've added a lot of scoring potential. As Coach Laviolette says, we're going to skate forward, not backwards. And I remind you that at the back end, we've got Mr. Weber and Mr. Rene, who is very healthy, and we're undefeated. And we look forward to starting training camp, and we look forward to first preseason game September 24th, and then our home opener on October 9th. And by the way, business is good too. We're going to fill the building and on like that. So winning games and selling tickets is what we're about. The beautiful facility that you own that we have the honor of playing in. Lots going on over there. Toby's going to talk to you all about the SIF project, which y'all's leadership and Rich Riebling. Just to refresh your memory, there's a user tax on tickets sold, both concerts and hockey. That creates a fund. It leverages the ability to borrow against that fund, and we finally, after 15 years, have a capital fund. And we're putting it to good use. Right now, we're in the middle of construction in what we're calling the Lexus Lounge. It is 12,000 square feet. On the event level, my recollection is y'all had the opportunity to tour it at the June meeting, I believe. Back then, it was a lot of dust. Now you can actually see living areas and bars, and I'm going to use the term TV, but it's 48 feet long, so it's probably 15 TVs, specially made. It is going to be the utmost in hospitality in Middle Tennessee. It's going to allow us to better service the CMA and the SEC men's basketball tournament, potentially, because I'm on television, an all-star game. And it's just going to add to our ability to compete for world-class events. As part of the construction on the south side, if you remember, improving aesthetically our campus, which we added a plaza on the back and the tavern. We're in the process of completing that with a thing. Working title is the Lynchburg Lounge. It's an extension to the tavern. It will open on the inside. We're putting a radio booth in there where the Preds will do pre and post radio. It also allow us to host hospitality for concerts and non-hockey events. That should be completed by October 1st. If you remember, several years ago, we undertook suite renovation with a goal to stage that over 4 to 5 years. We're in the process of doing somewhere between 5 and 7 right now that'll be ready for opening night. And that will take us to about 60 of the 70 suites. So that process is almost near its completion. We've done it very efficiently. And we think we have definitely improved the environment for both concerts and hockey events. And the Patron Club is undergoing a facelift, and you'll see some refreshing in there. Finally, we are in construction of a new merch shop. This was part of the funds for the south side that I referenced earlier with the plaza and the tavern. That is under construction. It will open from the inside and the outside. It'll increase our ability to sell merchandise both for concerts and hockey. So that's kind of what's going on at Bridgestone Arena. Thank you for recognizing David Kell's nomination. For those of you that know people in the music industry that have a vote at AIBA, God, I'm doing this publicly, aren't I? We would encourage you to ask them to vote for one of our own. He's doing a great job. His specific function is to book that building. And I think the results speak for themselves. Finally, Ford Ice. We are sort of open. We had our soft open yesterday at 2 o'clock. from about 3 to 7. We put about 100 people through there, besides a little puddling at the registration area and the point of sale crashing several times. I guess the good news is we're not really charging anybody right now, so that wasn't catastrophic. We opened kind of on time, on budget, and to rave reviews. I know some of y'all have had the opportunity to go out there and tour it. Look at your email box. Look at your email inbox over today, tomorrow. This soft open I reference is what we call friends and family. So we've invited anybody we have a touch point with to come out and sample this. The Sports Authority block is Friday night at 6 o'clock. So you're invited. Bring your friends. Bring your family. Come touch and feel and skate and have a hot dog. There is no charge for the public. This is what we're doing for everybody, not just specifically the Sports Authority. And I will tell you that a couple things. We're really proud. We have built, in partnership with y'all and Toby's leadership, a world-class facility. Right now, as I understand it, we are silver lead. I also understand that for $2,500, we can turn that into gold. I also understand that that would make us the only gold ice rinks in the country. Don't fact check that. I've told that anecdotally. I feel confident we are going to spend that $2,500. We as the Predators are motivated to anything that gives us the opportunity to say gold, we're going to do. That's what's happening out there. It is a state-of-the-art facility. Our plan is this Friends and Family soft open through approximately Labor Day. Right after Labor Day, we'll actually hope that we get the point of sale fixed because we plan on charging people so we can pay our rent to Metro starting after Labor Day. And on September 12th, we are going to have the grand opening. There will be a ribbon cutting. The mayor will be in attendance. It's roughly 4 p.m. That may be 4:30. There'll be a ribbon cutting. The mayor will lead the official first open skate. I understand he skates. So he'll be out there. We invite all y'all, and you will get a formal invitation to this. The reason we picked September 12th is because we're going to have the Predators are hosting a rookie tournament, which is the Predators, the Boston Bruins, the Tampa Bay Lightning, and the Florida Panthers. They bring their rookies and first and second year players out, and they play kind of a 3-day round robin tournament. It will be on our big sheet at Fort Ice. In conjunction with this, in partnership with Parks and Rec, we're going to use the 4.5-acre park that is immediately adjacent to the campus. We are programming that with Bigfoot to promote monster trucks. We're going to have a band. We're going to have fireworks Friday night. This will continue into Saturday with the band and jump houses and booths and on like that. A big festival in the park to open that campus in conjunction with the rookie games and the grand opening that I referenced earlier. And the last comment I'll tell you is we made a commitment, I don't know if it's in writing or not, to make a difference relative to hiring practices in Southeast Davidson County, as well as scholarships for youth to actually play out there. We have not announced this yet. We're in partnership with Vince Gill. We are going to do scholarships for youth and adults to go out there and skate. This is modeled after the Shelby Park Vinnie Links initiative that he does. So we're extending that to Southeast Davidson County. For ice hockey, we have not announced that. I guess we have now. We, in partnership with Vince, are going to fund this, and we're really excited about it. As I understand it, we've hired about 15 people from Southeast Davidson County as part-time labor. So I think we're continuing on that commitment. I believe that summarizes my presentation this morning. Are there any questions?
Anyone have a question for Jeff?
Thank you, and I can't wait to turn the podium back over to Mr. Henry next month. And Walter and Janine, good luck in the upcoming season.
Hey, thank you, Jeff, for your report this morning. Very positive report, one we're proud to hear. Our next item on our agenda is the SIF extension, and Toby's going to discuss this today, and we won't be taking any action, so just want to have a discussion. So, Toby.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So let me just go back. I mean, Jeff did a great job, and what's going on out in Southeast Davidson County is just so special, and you guys are going to get the opportunity to see that, and they've done a fantastic job, and Jeff's been so involved day in, day out to make sure this is the best facility it can be, and so kudos to him, and y'all are just going to really enjoy it. As we kind of move the conversation over to the SIF, so for the new folks who are here, this is the capital improvement fund or capital improvement fee that was instituted in late 2012 to address ongoing capital needs at the arena. Jeff alluded to the work that's going on there now with the Lexus hospitality area that's going to be on the event level. You guys will recall we walked downstairs after the last board meeting and looked around. It was a lot of closet space. It was a lot of really underutilized area. And they came up with a plan to build this out and build it out in a really very nice way to help entertain people, not only at concerts, but during the hockey season, SEC men's basketball, women's Final Four. Groups like that will be able to use this space in a whole variety of ways. When they built that out, they came to the board and they said, would you allow us to draw down money off of the fund to build that space? And that's what we use this fund for. It was originally created by the Predators, First Tennessee Bank, SunTrust Bank, and Metro Finance. Bob Lackey and Rich Riebling were involved in kind of building this out. And so what happens is it's not a tax, as was alluded to before. It's a user fee, is I think the way we refer to that. That's a place on each ticket. So each ticket sold has a small user fee that ticks back into this fund to pay it off. So the way to kind of think about this particular fund is it's a revolving fund, a revolving line of credit. So we draw off of it and we put money back into it. The bank has two safeguards in place of how much money we can potentially draw off of this. And we can borrow 5 times the previous year's collections, or $10 million, the lesser of the two. So there's a formula there that is kind of a protection for the bank so that we can ensure that the collections meet the ongoing needs. So as we've proceeded through this, one of the things that we wanted to do is really kind of have a couple years kind of under our belts. And the Predators and Bob Lackey, Rich Riebling, several of us met with the banks to kind of review where we were. And everyone was ecstatic. We blocked off 4 hours for this particular meeting. It was over in 30 minutes because it has demonstrated itself on the collection side of things. I mean, again, the work that they're doing to fill the building and sell tickets, not only for ice hockey, but at concerts. You know, the revenue side takes care of itself, and the expense side of it is taking care of itself as well. The banks think we're really doing things that are very good improvements to the building. So what came out of this meeting was a proposal that we want to put before the board. Just today, we want to present this as an idea. Sean will come next month and give a little more detail, provide a little more vision about what we're thinking about doing with some of the funds, but basically extend the program out. And that's really the only thing that we're asking. It's not really anything terribly complex, but we want to make sure that people are comfortable with understanding how the program works, the details of the program, and what we're asking for. And I'll just say what we're aiming to do with this is find a mechanism to replace the seats in the arena. The seats in the arena today are the original seats that were there, and they just kind of they're at the end of their useful life. And so through this user fee, so people who use the building, the people who sit in those seats will be paying for the replacement of those seats. And that's ultimately what this modification will allow. So in your packets, there are 3 things for you to review over the next coming weeks before the next board meeting. One is the presentation that Kyle Clayton, and Kyle's here if we have any questions. He's done an excellent job working with Bob Lackey to build out an excellent presentation that the banks were just overwhelmed with. We also have a summary sheet. It's a couple pages that will demonstrate the fees, what we've paid out and what we're paying in. And then finally, the proposed language changes. There are two pieces of legislation, if you will, resolutions, that the board will be asked to approve at the next meeting that basically just makes these modifications. As I said, Sean will be here and kind of walk us through a little bit more. We can ask more questions. I think Rich will also intend to be at this next meeting next month, so we can kind of pose questions. But keeping with our policies regarding the SIF, we always like to, just for transparency, we give this to you a month in advance. You can look at it, you can ask questions, get clarification. At the next meeting, we'll come back for the vote.
Okay, very clear. Our direction it will be taken from Toby. Are there any questions or any comments at this time? Margaret?
I want to just say that I had a great meeting with Sean and Kyle and Toby about this presentation that was done with the bank, because I'd taken an interest with SIF earlier, and so they dropped by my office. And this presentation that you have here, the first information to First Tennessee Bank, is just excellent. It's very detailed. It really gives an outstanding history of the SIF program and how the money has been used penny by penny. And this, from what I can tell with this presentation here and the materials, it is rather a simple proposition for the board that we're being asked to do, but it's also something that allows us to continue to leverage these user fees in such a way that we can continue to see the improvements that we heard about today. So it's a pretty exciting prospect, and I look forward to our talking about it next meeting.
Thank you, Margaret. Any other questions or comments from anyone? Okay, thank you, Toby, and we'll move right on into the next item on our agenda, the special event contract, Life in Color, and we are required to approve uses of the area and parking, and Toby's going to talk about that.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So what we're looking at is tab 5 at the moment. This is a special event contract for a group or an event referred to as Life in Color. So the board understands what we're looking at and why this is kind of different on the agenda. You know, the board has approved the staff, Monica and I, to really oversee, day in, day out kind of use of the parking lot. And we've got Brasher who does that, and Stewart, they do a great job. But if it's a simple event that's just a simple parking arrangement, that's pretty easy, and that's kind of a staff administrative thing that we do. This is a little different, and we wanted to make sure that there was a contract in place, because this is something that's using our parking lot, but using it in a really kind of different way. This is a group that we have worked with previously, so we know the promoters, we know the company, and what this is a, how shall I say it? This is a dance party, if you will, that's going to use a lot R. Obviously, it's a pretty lot. It's going to be an evening event, lots of light. But what they do, and a lot of communities in Middle Tennessee have these runs now, they use powdered dye, and it's a colorful thing. They kind of shoot these little dye packets off, and people wear white clothes and they get dye on them.
You're going, aren't you?
There you go. That's what it is. I don't know how to describe it anyway else. There's some great websites out there you can look at that have these things. It looks really cool. I mean, they will have thousands of people. So what the contract in front of you is the use of Lot R for this event. Now, to tell you, the rest of the campus, we anticipate filling up all the other parking lots. So our normal parking relationship will be in all those other spots at $5 a car. So this is a fairly large event if you begin to think about it. Margaret Darby and Jason Bobo here have looked at this contract. They're comfortable with it. They've discussed this with the attorneys. The one question that you guys may have is, well, so how do you clean this up? And it is a dry powder. This is not literal paint on asphalt. They have a couple ways that they clean this up. Stuart is going to staff the event, so we're going to have people who are our representatives who are down there before, during, and after the event, and they will ensure the cleanup of the parking lot. We've had a conference call with them. We've talked about what does this look like. We're going to work with every Metro department to make sure that things are taken care of, that there's not any issues, and we'll obviously be working closely with the event folks at Public Works and Metro Police Department to make sure that, because this is at night and people crossing a road, we shut things off appropriately. So it's just something that's a little different and a little extraordinary. We want to make sure that the board was aware of it, that we put a contract in front of you for approval, and basically the rental for the parking lot is $7,725, and you can see the remainder of the details in the contract. I don't really think there's any surprises here.
Okay, you've heard Toby make the presentation of this request. Is there a motion for approval? Motion's made. Second? Second. All in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Okay. Thank you. We've got that. We have one other item on our agenda here to talk about, and that's the forms for LP Field bond refinancing that we've reviewed in the past, and now we have to go back and approve. And you have the resolution, and Toby, will you?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I saw Ralph and Rip over there talking. I think they're coordinating their calendars for the Life in Color event.
Yeah, that's right.
Make sure that they're there. Rip will have his tank top on, and he'll be out there dancing with the powder.
We'll be glad for them to represent us.
Yeah, that'll be fun. So new board members, this is something this is a requirement that the state of Tennessee has, that after we close a series of bonds that we have to present this form to you. It's in your packet in tab 6. It merely outlines the details, the final details of that bond transaction. So this is really just a perfunctory thing. There's no court. We don't have to vote on this. It's just a transparency function that the state requires us to do. But both JD and Kathy joined many representatives last week as we closed the bonds that was voted on at the June meeting related to LP Field. So it was the final bond issuance was $17,390,000, and the transaction was really quite successful because we achieved a $2,512,000 savings. The projection that we had in front of you at the meeting was only $1.8 million. So when we did the final pricing and we went through the course of things, big kudos to Metro Finance once again, Bob Lackey, Margaret Darby, and many others who are more sophisticated than me, achieved a substantial savings. Typically in these kind of scenarios, when Metro does these bond finances, we try to save 3%. That's kind of the standard that's acceptable. We managed to do 10.72%. So this was a really pretty good transaction for the Sports Authority and for the city. These forms are before you now, and we will finalize these forms with the bond counsel at Bassbury and Sims. And Mr. Chairman, that's all we have.
Okay, do we need to have a formal motion for that? It's
a simple
just a reporting matter. Okay. Okay. Anyone have any other business to come? Toby, anything else?
That's plenty.
Remember, the date that's important to you right now is the 12th. We hope all of you will be there for the ribbon cutting. If you haven't seen it, you're going to feel good about it, as Jeff reported, and so be sure and try to be there. And then our next meeting will be the 17th.
Watch your email, because there will be information coming out about the facility and what we'll be doing, and how the Sports Authority will be involved in that in the events on the 12th and before.
Good. Okay, thank you for being here. Have a good day.
Motion to adjourn?
Yeah.
So moved.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Thanks, JD.
Yeah.